Now, here's your hosts, the League Dad, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair.
What's up, gamers, and welcome to another episode of the All-In Podcast presented by Excellency Esports. I am the League Dad, and I am joined, as always, by my awesome friends and co-hosts, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair. And if you're a regular listener, you'll notice that we didn't have an episode last week. We were all just bums and couldn't get our scheduling together. And, you know, we have lives, guys. We have things that we're doing. And so, unfortunately, we were not able to come together for an episode. So this is like, we're going to pack everything into this one to catch up for all the missed things that we didn't get to say last week. But before I do that, guys, I got a little bit of an announcement. I don't know if you were browsing the Twitter sphere or listening to other podcasts, but Excellency, they have another podcast called the Excellent 3 Podcast. And I heard those guys were talking junk and challenging us to an ARAM game. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, they were talking trash. They were calling us on Twitter. It was about to be a whole thing, man. I mean, what are you guys feeling about? I think we can take them down. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll really be a challenge. I mean, I kind of know some of them played around with some Morpheus, Bailey, Icarus, and I think there's a bit of a rank disparity. The thing is, there's only 4 of us, so we don't make a whole 5, so maybe that'll make it even. You know,
okay,
yeah, 5,
there you go, maybe.
Even. But there's definitely a massive rank disparity. I don't know where he is on my screen, but there's a guy who might be Masters Diamond.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like Plat 2, Plat 3. Kevin is a former Diamond player.
I just said gold.
Challenger.
I just said gold.
Challenger.
Yeah, Challenger.
No, don't listen to him. He's Challenger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it'll be that too much of an issue. We'll have to give him a little handicap, you know.
Yeah.
They're all a little, you know, I think Bailey's maybe Plat 4, and then they're all golds and silvers and whatever.
Well, I think we have like a month until we're going to try to plan this out, set it up, build up the pay-per-view, you know what I'm saying? So that that sweet purse of bragging rights will be for the taking. But yeah, other than that, guys, I know it's been a week. How you guys doing? Obviously, the games have happened. I don't know how you feel about them, but just your overall thoughts, on these past couple of weeks and the games.
Yeah, I just spoke, but I guess I'm speaking again. That's cool.
Go for it.
I thought that some of them were really, really exciting and fun, and some of them were just like, what the heck is going on, man? Like, these are some weird, wacky games. I think you were kind of talking right before that it's like, the title of this is Does Spring Split Matter? And I'm kind of wondering, like, does it even? That's a question we're gonna dive into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm under the same impression. There were some really good games that were like super exciting and like I was yelling, and then there were games where I was like, if I didn't look it up later on, I might not remember the results. A lot of the top teams look pretty inconsistent, bar one-ish, and a lot of the bottom teams, like they did take games, but like they were some really ugly games. Like I think it was EG Fly, I believe it was like a war crime of a game.
Yeah, war crime.
We'll get into it a little bit more later, but I will say that the bottom teams have stabilized a bit more compared to before. Like Golden Guardians isn't an absolute free win, as they used to be playing 4v5 every game.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So, yeah, but overall, it's still kind of boiled down. If you look at the top for Summer Split, if you look at the top list, it's the usual suspects. We predicted them beforehand. Maybe not in the order that it went in, but 2 weeks.
Honestly, I feel like the quality of games has gone down since spring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the games just been super sloppy for the most part.
Yeah.
I could not agree more.
I think
They've been enjoyable and entertaining, but they haven't been very high quality.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was saying earlier, like there have been long games, but it's not like they were like because people were outplaying each other. It was more of like, oh my gosh, who's gonna throw next? Like, and yeah, it's kind of funny to watch and see like, oh, we thought this was over. Nope, it's not. And have these long games, but I wouldn't call them like high quality, long games.
Solo queue.
Yeah, so it was solo queue essentially, like things that you wouldn't normally see happen. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring this topic to the front of our episode, which is, should Spring Split actually count? Because I think what we're seeing here, yes, we've had roster changes. We didn't get to talk about that yet, so we'll dive into that. But we've seen a bunch of teams do roster changes, which from a fan's perspective, seem questionable. Obviously, we don't know everything going on internally, but we also see teams like C9, like Perks, inting in games, or teams just doing really just uncharacteristically unprofessional, like solo queue type moves. And I'm wondering, is it because Spring Split, it counts, right? And the records boil over. So if you're like a C9 TSM, you're already like way ahead of the game. Whereas if you're like someone like Golden Guardians, after the first week, like it's not looking good. Like, what do you really have to do? Like, you're not really going to be able to go anywhere. And I think these higher, placed teams are experimenting a little too much to where the quality is kind of not working for me. I don't know. What do you guys think? And then I'll kind of circle my thoughts again.
Yeah, I think you hit on some really, really interesting points. Especially like I think Perks is a very specific one. Like it was that
Yeah.
Renekton game, right? Where he just chain fed on Renekton over and over again. He flash empowered stunned a ward. Like I was like, what is he
Yeah.
doing?
That was funny.
That was really bad. And then he made that tweet. It's like, sometimes we just have bad games or something. He said, like,
Yeah.
that's so BM. Like he just doesn't care at all.
Mhm.
Um, it's because the records do carry over, right? This is like, I guess it's like you tried so hard in spring, and I think a lot of players did try really hard in spring, and that's why we got like that crazy 5 game finals, and 1, 2, 3, 4 was pretty contentious for a while, and it's like, but now that you're getting into this, it's like now the top teams are allowed to experiment, they're allowed to kind of chill out and relax, and the bottom teams, they have to basically either win every game to even think about it, or it's like there's just no point for them, right?
Mhm.
Because they already knew their record's doomed. Um, it's an interesting sort of chain of events that's come from Spring Split should matter,
Yeah.
like the records should stay over. It'll keep it so that Spring Split is more important. And now we're facing the consequences that Summer Split doesn't matter. Maybe that's the real consequence of it. And before, when Summer Split was the only thing that mattered, it's like, I don't know, what's the solution?
Yeah.
I would say like you guys are right that the game quality has dropped a bit. I will say it's a little tinged by the fact that MSI's game quality just on average is higher.
Mhm.
So when you come back new meta, you didn't have like 9 patches in a row to get a meta developed and then practice through it. It will look bad. I will say it's a little correlation causation issue in the sense that I don't think the root cause is the spring split alone. I think a large part of it is actually that how awful our playoff system is. It's top 8 teams goes to playoffs out
Yeah.
of 10. Like
Mhm.
if you're at 66% win rate, you're like 12-6 or something like that, which was second place last split or third place.
Mhm.
That means that you could pretty much almost lose every game
Yeah.
and you would make playoffs. As long as you're confident you will perform when you get to playoffs, you can do whatever you want. Like there
Exactly.
was legitimate like rumblings about like, hey, why doesn't C9 just go to Korea or something or
Mhm.
EU and
Yeah.
boot camp? And as long as there's not a rule against it, why not at that point? So I think that playoffs should be top 6. Personally, again, I didn't like top 8 playoffs in the sense that it just felt like being a playoffs level team meant nothing. It just felt like you participated and you literally didn't run it down, um, because there are teams that are like it's shaping up to have like a record of like 7 wins and like 13 losses or something like
Mhm.
that, and they can make playoffs. That's just silly to me, and I think
Yeah.
that's why compounded with the spring split mattering, like they just don't need to care. Like Liquid could lose every match from here
Mhm.
on out, and they might get 8th, but as long as they show up in best of 5, it won't matter, and that's kind of weird to me. I don't know if other sports have an 80% of teams make playoffs ratio, but I don't think that's the case as far as I know.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I like this system. I still think it's better than what we had at least last year. Maybe it's not better than the original, but there's arguments for every system, right? I mean, last year, let's be honest, Cloud9 was not one of our top 3 teams,
That's
and if
true.
they'd won spring and they would have gone anyways, it wouldn't have mattered.
Mhm.
But because spring didn't matter, and I mean, obviously that came with its issues, but then this year, I mean, it is the first year of it, and there's going to be its kinks.
Hmm.
But I still think we're better off with this system just due to the fact that, like, sure, you have a summer split that doesn't necessarily mean as much as spring,
Mhm.
but you can't just lose every game. And sure, you can experiment, but you still have to win.
Yep.
Well, see,
Because like,
that's my wondering though, because maybe at the start, but after week one, right? And maybe it's still really early. It is still really early, but you see, if you start seeing some of these lower teams just perform the same, or like even CLG, who we'll talk about a little bit more, but a team that people thought were going to be better because they're kind of getting their roster finally and having more time and their vets, and said they should reel it around, but they've been playing pretty terrible, right? And so now it just kind of furthers that disparity. And so while yes, maybe those middle of the pack teams may have needed to win more games, I don't know. It seems like that's becoming less of a threat because these bottom tier teams are just really, really bad. But at the same time,
I
you go ahead.
agree.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, broad stroke here, but in general, if you're bad in spring, you're bad in summer. Obviously, there's the exceptions, but Golden Guardians isn't going to make it past the first round of playoffs. It's just how it is. Like,
Yeah.
and like again, you can go through history and you can say, oh well, this team and this team, yes. But the thing is, like, I feel like this was better because the mid tier teams, they have to work even harder if they want it. Sure, the top tier teams, but the top tier teams are even with the other system, they'd still cruise through to playoffs. I
Mhm.
mean, let's be honest here. Like, sure, they might not test as much, but they're Cloud9, TL, TSM. They were all going to make top four anyways.
Mhm.
That's just how it is. Teams like Immortals or EG, there's a fire under them. They got to go. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's better, but that's my opinion.
I think that also brings up a great point that maybe like the conversation is it doesn't matter what format we're in. The best teams are always going to win and the worst teams are always
Yeah.
going to lose. And maybe the real thing we should be fixing is the fact that there's such a massive disparity between our top and bad bottom teams. Like there is still our bottom teams can take games off of our top teams, but we're never afraid of our top teams actually losing their
Yeah.
playoff spots and losing their world's berth to the middle or lower teams. Like, sure, all right, Golden Guardians beat C9 or whatever, right? That's cool. Is Golden Guardians ever going to go to Worlds against any of the other top three teams? Is
No.
any middle of the pack team really going to take a spot away from C9, TL, or TSM? And I think that's the real issue with our league, in that we get these sort of boring things that no matter what sort of system we create, where we have other leagues where the winner is like different a lot and
Mhm.
things change and there's a lot of variety. China and Korea especially, like sure Danwon has won twice in a row, but like things are like, before Danwon there was a lot of like randomness that happened in Korea. EU too. Now the G2 is kind of fallen. It's like there's a lot of like potential strange things that could happen in those leagues where it feels like C9 TL or TSM, right?
Or
You're gonna
100
win every
Thieves.
bet. You're
Yeah.
gonna win a bet, and even 100 Thieves, like I would be surprised if 100 Thieves won the split.
Yeah.
Very, very surprised. Still, no matter how good they look right now. So,
Bring back
I
relegation.
yeah, I think relegation would be sick because then it's like the bottom teams really have to like
Yeah.
you can't just cruise through last place for like 3 seasons in a row, CLG or Golden Guardians. Like
Because too, like that's the thing, like relegation was kind of like that motivation, even if it's a bad motivation factor, like to not be bad, right? Not be last. Like to me, what's the point of CLG trying anymore? Like they can't, what is it gonna do for them, really? I mean, like they could grind all these hours and do this stuff, but like you said, what's the likelihood they're even gonna get the playoffs, and if they do, like even make it past the first round? Like there's no incentive, and even for the organization, like in other sports, like if you're the last place team, you get like a high draft pick in the next lottery, right? To try to make your team better. You have the first option, but we don't have that kind of system in League of Legends. So to me, it's just a matter of like, what is the motivation for these lower place teams to actually get better? If they have no money, there's no point of, they're not going to get relegated. Then I just don't see the point. And I feel bad for the players because they're kind of like, they're kind of stuck. Like they got to play,
yeah.
but there's just doesn't look like there's any growth or progress on the horizon. So,
And I think it's like a real shame that players who do end up on these bottom orgs and get promised that they're going to be better is that CLG, it doesn't matter how many great players that go onto that roster, it feels like they always just let them down. Like
mm-hmm.
it's definitely an org issue.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'll say real quick, I actually don't necessarily think that just because the quality of games on paper have gone down, that that's a bad thing per se. I'm on the same boat as Alistair. I think it's a good direction overall, and I also think that them experimenting, even if it doesn't in the immediate term lower quality games. I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt for now, at least. That doesn't mean that they're just worse. It just means that they're willing to actually try stuff instead of just playing for the win on the
Mm.
season. Because now that seasons matter, like let's actually play to like, get some flexibility. A good example would be C9. They're doing like lane swaps pretty much every other game. I think it was like they've done it like at least 2 lane swaps so far, where Fudge is playing mid. And maybe if every game mattered, they wouldn't do something as risky. You know, it's not that risky because he's playing Gwen, but it's something that you know we didn't see as much before, and I think that's honestly a good thing to have that flexibility. Maybe it won't work out at Worlds, but I mean, we saw that lane swap beat RNG, was it, or beat somebody big at MSI. So I honestly think it's not a bad thing yet. Now, if they just keep running it down, it looks like they're just phoning it in as NA is wont to do, then damn, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give it a few more weeks, and I do think summer still matters because we literally have 50% more games. So
Yeah.
There are
I
more
like that
games.
take.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Yeah.
a good take. I mean, and this kind of brings me to the roster moves. You know, this is part of the, you know, our team's just trying weird stuff, even if it sounds crazy, just because they kind of have a little bit of a cushion right this moment. And so the first big one, obviously, is Alfari, right, being taken out, because that was pretty surprising. I mean, Sven out also was surprising, right? That was a big
Yeah.
one. But even the Alfari one was like, what? What's going on? And then Saligo, right? Saligo being taken out as well, where he seemed like he was doing well. So I just got to ask, from your perspective, like a fan's perspective, obviously we don't know what's going on. And someone, I can't remember which caster made a point though. I think it was Kobe, but he was just basically saying this is the sucky thing about esports, is that they don't give out any information, and so we have to speculate. And people are always like, stop guessing, you don't know. I'm like, yeah, but we have to, because we as fans want to know. And if the orgs aren't going to give us any information, then we have to speculate. And you know, it kind of sucks because that could be a good or bad thing. Like maybe it's something perfectly normal. Like
Yeah.
it's just, you
on
know,
the Alfari note, they did give information out. It was like yesterday.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw it.
No, what was that? Say that again, Kev.
So on the Alfari note, Liquid and Alfari gave out a statement yesterday.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
long
Talk
story
about it.
long story short, Barney, who's Alfari, and Liquid, they basically revealed, not like to a personal extent, but essentially that it was actually personal issues that Alfari was having in his personal life. Alfari confirmed to himself, and that they benched him on that note. I think the disconnect and why he was blindsided by that first is I don't think that he realized that the organization was viewing that as an issue, and the organization did not do a good job communicating with them. But they both pretty much like apologized for it and said like, "Hey, we're just gonna give him time to, you know, figure stuff out and come back on the 27th, I believe it was, or the weekend of the 27th."
Mm-hmm.
So
well, and I'm
they
glad
did
that
communicate it, but they took like weeks to
yeah,
do it.
took
That's
such
the
a long
problem.
time. But even then, okay, what about Sven? I haven't heard anything. What about Saligo? I haven't heard anything. And with a lot of them happening,
That's a great question.
yeah, I don't, there's no, we don't know. So it could be something simple, right? And it just becomes, you know, this crazy speculation, or it is something serious, you know. But either way, I just think it sucks that we don't get to hear. What are your thoughts on all the roster moves? And I guess give your evaluation, so to speak, of what you've been seeing from these new players like Jenkins or King or, you know, whatever. Like what are your thoughts on them right now?
I definitely feel like. Okay, I'll just start with. We already talked about the Alfari one.
Yeah.
Jenkins on the Lulu was complete Omega lol. What the
Yeah.
heck was that? I thought that was so bad. But you know, I don't think Alfari was gonna play that any better, right? I think they put him on Lulu because he was Jenkins. Like that's like they would never do that if that was Alfari, right? Alfari
Right.
can like, all right, I'll play into Gwen. I'll dumpster it somehow, right? I'll have a pick ready for it. But yeah, the I don't know. I don't think Jenkins has been bad. I think he's been fine. I think he's been okay. He hasn't, as far as I remember, he hasn't lost his team the game, and he hasn't won his team the game. And Alfari is a player who would win you the game.
Yeah.
So
And lose you the
compares,
game. But
yeah, and lose you the game
And
too.
lazy the
But
game.
it's because like when he's losing you the game, it's literally because the entire team is like throwing the whole kitchen sink at him, and his the rest of his team, they trade and they don't capitalize on it too, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're getting ganked perma in the finals of spring, and your jungler is never there to counter, like, yeah, you should not get ganked, but also where the heck is my jungler, right?
Yeah.
So I feel that as Alfari, and um, whatever. Jenkins is I think he could be LCS ready on a bottom tier team. I do. I think that's which is pretty. I think that's high praise, honestly. First
Hmm.
time showing in LCS. I think that, so that's not bad. He's able to hold his own in lane, and that's pretty good for a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lack of stage time that he's had, he's actually been pretty good. Like I'm a Liquid fan. We went 3-3, not great by any means, but like I think he's been fine. His GP is actually probably a mid high LCS caliber itself, which I mean, yeah, it's GP, but he's got great barrel chains. He's got good awareness in fights. He's like been a part of some pretty clutch plays. Like I think this is his first time on a major team on the stage, and he's doing quite well.
Yeah.
The issue is the person he's in for. You know, if he wasn't in for
Exactly.
Alfari and he was in for like a bad Sunday, like a Sunday on a bad week, okay, I get it. That's a really good like move. You know, it's a fresh breath of air in a different champ pool. But the problem is like Alfari plays a sick GP too. He plays like a sick a
Yeah.
lot of things. And this is a meta where we have stuff like Gwen or Viego who could go top and do a lot of work, and we
Sim,
aren't
yeah.
playing that as well here, or at all. Uh, Again, I already talked about why Liquid did that, so let's go on to the other like moves. Sligo, that's a weird one to me.
Hmm.
Yusui has been around forever. He was like C9 Academy. He was like a bunch of academy teams.
Yeah.
He's never been like LCS, like maybe bottom tier LCS, but Dignitas is not trying to be bottom tier. Weird move. He didn't int per se, but I didn't think he was great. And the other move was King. King has been fine. He's good enough, I guess. He's
Yeah.
definitely not bad. I don't know if he's Zen tier, but he hasn't necessarily impressed me per se. Was there another big switch anywhere that I'm missing? An obvious one?
Probably. I feel like there is, but I don't know off the top
Yeah,
of my
There
head.
was
we'll
like
get
Oh
to it
yeah,
plenty
when we
around
get
Spica
there.
got subbed out for Bjergsen.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Speaker got
that
that was
cool.
awesome.
That was a
that
good
was
clip.
prime content.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Jesus.
Oh man, what a meme.
Yeah, but I think the subbing has been fine. It's also a product of you have your screen record, so like people are getting chances, which is good. But I do wish there was a little bit more clarity. Like Liquid took forever to do it, and then the other teams like we don't know why Zen was benched. And look, all we know is some cryptic. I don't think Zen's coming back for the split. I'm like, what?
Yeah. What
That's
does
like
that
20 plus
mean?
games. What
Yeah.
do you mean?
Okay.
Yikes.
Yeah, the Sven one confuses me because he was, I mean, him and Vulcan were the best players in that team at MSI, and I don't know. I mean, I think people are giving King a lot of flack that he didn't deserve. Like, oh, he'll never match Sven. Sure, I don't think he's been outdoing what Sven would do, but I mean, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
He's not inting hard. Like he's doing well enough, and I'm happy for him. Like I think he's fine, and I think people need to again give him time because he is a rookie. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, and I guess I think it's more of just because also these big names that are being subbed out, right? Where you're seemingly just by watching games are like, well, they weren't playing. It didn't seem like it was a performance issue because all of these players seemed like they were doing okay. So just a little bit questionable. And again, just our speculation. But let's go like real briefly through the teams right now because it's been 2 weeks. This is our first time kind of talking about it. Let's talk about kind of the narratives playing out for each team. First of all, 100 Thieves, I think, made the biggest move during the mid-season, right? Getting Abadage, getting a new coach as well, right? C9's old coach. How do you guys think they're as far as the summer split record, they're in first. They've won 5 games, only lost once. They're on fire. I mean, what did you guys think of their play? Abadage, especially. I mean, he's showing me everything. He's showing me the Karma, the Akali, the Orianna. I mean, this is their prayer, their answered prayer, right? Like, I don't know. What do you guys think about him?
This guy is a smurf. This guy is really,
Yeah.
really good. He's really young too, right? He was one of the reasons why that crazy Schalke miracle run happened last year at all. Like it was him. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
actually making some of the most insane godlike plays, and now we're seeing it, right? And like I think as you foreshadowed, his champion pool is massive.
Yeah.
There's nothing, no playstyle he can't play that I've seen so far, right? He can play Orianna really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
He can play Akali really, really well. And you know what? He can play Quirky really well. He can play, I'm sure he can play Viego. I'm sure he can play all these variety of champions. I would love to see him on the Lee Sin too. Lucian, right? So I don't think there's anything he couldn't play. And like the the scary thing for 100 Thieves as a roster was always if we move into control meta, we have Demonte and we're screwed. We go to Ryoma. Ryoma's just a bad player, right? If
Mm-hmm.
we're in this Romy assassin play style, we get Demonte. And you know what? Demonte didn't even play Akali. He played
Yep.
Kiana, right? And I think that Abadage is actually just like better than both those players combined from 100
Yeah.
Thieves. Like it's really nuts how much better he is than Demonte and Abadage or and Ryoma. I forgot
Yeah.
his name for a second.
There you
It's
go.
that forgettable.
See,
It's
there
like,
you
oh
go.
my god. Abadage here,
Yeah.
Abadage there.
Ouch.
Man, it's rough. I think he's incredibly good so far. I think that along with the coaching decision, you could see that there was confidence in him as well as just confidence in the game plan. They lost in sort of embarrassing fashion in the first game
Mm-hmm.
to C9, and they ran Karma that game. Everyone was lambasting them, and then they're like, "Yeah, we'll keep picking it. We'll do it again." And it seemed broken with the Shinzao later on, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, okay, there's something there. Like, I don't like it, but it's working." So they drew a ban from it week 2 from TSM, and then they just played a Kali and smurfed on them. And I was like, "Dude, what the heck? A Karma ban in mid? Like,
Yeah.
jeez,
Yeah.
that's crazy. It's really good that he can like." What my friends were commenting when we were watching the games, we were like, he's kind of like Jizuke's highs, except that's his average.
Yeah.
When we were watching the 2 Akali plays back to back. So I think it's really exciting. Honestly, he's in conversation so far. It's only been 2 weeks, so hot take, obviously. But I think he's in conversation for the best mid laner
And just
performing right now, right?
I mean, just to like clarify, because I think you misspoke, but they actually only lost to Immortals. They actually beat Cloud9. So Immortals was their first game and they lost. So they've actually, I mean,
they shouldn't be.
yeah. And so they lost to a team that they probably shouldn't have lost to. So theoretically, like, I mean, yeah, this is a really hot team right now.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, having Abadage fixes 100 Thieves age-old issues. You know, their mid laner is kind of inconsistent. I mean,
yeah.
Dante was really good at his specific playstyle, but when it got off of that playstyle, he couldn't really match up a lot of the time. He could do okay, but he wouldn't run it down a lot of the time. And Ryoma was a bit of a flip, and having someone who's consistent and just consistently good, to supplement, you know, having already a team that was pretty good was a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, like how much of it is the coaching too, right? Like it could be just coaching change as well.
Yeah.
See, so
It's Reaper.
Forgot about Reaper.
I think that you're kind of seeing that like you don't have you're not playing like they're not playing the same 2 or 3 champions every game, right?
Mhm.
Remember, it was literally closer was on Olaf or Udyr every
Yep.
single game, even when they got nerfed, even when it didn't seem like maybe a great time to play it, and they would just run all these perma early game comps, right? Just perma early game,
Yep.
Renekton, Nidalee, Renekton, Udyr, Renekton, Olaf, just like we're just always going in, and then we have Syndra, Orianna mid. Like it was getting really really boring and like really really predictable. And now it's like you definitely can feel that like there's a lot more variety in drafts and there's a lot more like you know they can have different playstyles.
Yeah,
They can
different
have a
play. Yep.
Karma mid, a carry jungler, or they can have just a full dive in comp. And you know what? Someday, who was honestly kind of a really big issue last year for them
Yeah.
to make it to break that top 3 for them,
Mhm.
was not performing well at all. It definitely felt like he had bad motivation. He made a lot of like really strange plays, or he kind of just like didn't react right. Like the amount of times he just died with flash up for no reason
Yeah.
and lost his team a fight just happened so many times, and it was like the most uneventful, uninspiring performance. And he's still like not, I think, peak someday level, but like you know he's definitely playing well. Like he's definitely like I'm like okay someday you're kind of back. You're getting to that point where it's like you're just consistently solid right now, and there are hints of like that's some sick plays. Like his Lee Sin too was like yep. You
Yeah.
definitely landed some sick cues right there. Like
Yeah.
you're smurfing some of these plays with Lee Sin. So I'm pretty excited for 100 Thieves. I just think it's gonna be up to basically everybody to just stay at this level for the rest of the year, right? If they
Mhm.
stay at this level, you know, I'm not gonna call them top 3 right now, but talk to me in a couple weeks. They're still at this level. I might put them there.
And that's
Yeah,
what I
sure.
wonder because, like, you know, they are in contention for top 3, right? Like that's what we always think because it's usually C9, TSM, Team Liquid, right? And then that other team that can fight for that third spot. And yeah, 100 Thieves has always been that team, at least recently. And, like this looks like they have a really good chance to do it. And they're off to a hot start, right? But speaking of that, in contrast with some of the roster changes, like C9 and Team Liquid have actually looked mediocre, which is very odd. TSM, I thought were going to, they surprised me after week one. I was like, oh my gosh, 3-0, right? And then I watched this week and I was like, oh, we're about to be 0-3. And we luckily won the last game, but still, they're still kind of shaky to me. I thought they were in a good direction. I think they're better, but still have some work to do. So give me your thoughts right now and an evaluation of the normal trilogy of NA, C9, Team Liquid, TSM. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I will. I'll go again here. TSM, definitely. I have no idea what the heck is going on with them. I thought they were so clean in week one. Um, they just had these great game plans where the game was just it just felt over. Like they just
Right.
won the game and that was it. And then they lost to Flyquest and I don't know, they played that Nocturne top and Huni was just kind of useless, just flying in, dying. They've played a full dive comp with double ADCs
Oh gosh.
and they just got wrecked by Udyr and it's why are you letting Udyr go? I don't
Yeah.
know. Everybody's banning it. Don't give him Udyr, right? They thought they could beat it with a bunch of bursty champions and it's oops, we can't burst Udyr. He just out farms me and just runs around. I don't know. Maybe some of it's draft, right? But um, the team confuses me. The team definitely confuses me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say on that. I expect more. I expect them to still be the top three though. Hmm.
I would say it's weird for the top three conversation right now because TL just subbed out their best player, arguably a second best or best depending on the day, and they just subbed him out for 3 weeks. So I was like, what are you gonna do with that information?
Yeah.
And then C9 had a really awful week one, in my opinion, and then week two was better. 100 Thieves looked good fairly. Past game one, they looked good throughout the rest of the week. And then I think TSM's week two was pretty abysmal. I
Yeah.
thought that I have no idea what happened. It looked like they just practiced for week one, and then the classic NA week two they just didn't practice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To be a little bit more specific, it looks like what's working for TSM is still Coco working. So I think PoE and Speak are good. I think Sword Art is having issues performing
Yeah.
still.
Absolutely.
There are just games where I'm like, wow, that call was definitely this is the new TSM. It's either Speak or Sword. Someone's calling that they normally wouldn't do. That was a great Baron. And then there are times where it's just like, dude, what the heck was that? He gets
Yeah.
caught so much on Leona, and I'm just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
He might be used to having a team that has more solo lane pressure. Like when he was on Sunny, there was just so much ridiculous pressure from SOFM and Bid and Co. That was pretty easy to just roam around. But I'm concerned about them. I think 100 Thieves might take either TSM or Liquid spot in the top three, at least going
Wow.
into playoffs
Mm.
Hmm.
at the trajectory we're going. Because we don't know if when Alfire comes back, will he be
Yeah.
gelled with the team and is everything okay? That was a pretty bad note to end last split on it. Sub or not. It was just a heartbreaking note, the 5 first bloods. And it looked like his game one didn't look amazing. It was fine, but
Yeah.
it didn't look like Alfire bold. So I'm worried about Liquid long term. I'm still gonna vote for them in the predictions, by the way. But,
There he is. Okay.
yeah. So honestly, I think the top three right now is some mix of 100 Thieves, TSM, and C9. But I do think the 100 Thieves is a little higher than TSM currently.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean TSM. I mean, this is just recurring theme. I never know what to think about them.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No one does.
Cloud9, they look shaky, but they're still up there. TL kind of worries me. I mean, they obviously not having Alfari is a big change to their play style because you could almost kind of guarantee that there was a way to win, whether it was they're using everything top lane so we win through bot lane, or our top lane is just absolutely dumpstering theirs.
Hmm.
But I mean, even if you look at the EG game, what is Tactical doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He's the first dragon. There is no excuse for EG to get that. They have bot lane pushed in. Jinx is no mana, 30% HP, and they get to walk in. Tactical's dying randomly in the river. He inted the last team fight by trying to
Yeah.
1v1 the Aatrox that he's not going to win because he doesn't have healing reduction. It looked really bad. and I hope it changes, but I don't know. I mean, we last split we wrote it off as, oh, they think they're the best anyways. They're kind of just testing, but it's going into the split as well, and it's a bit worrying.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just hoping it doesn't fall into the trend of NA rookies have a good first year, and then their second year they fall off, and the
Fall
third year
off.
they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want that to happen. I feel like I don't know. This is kind of off topic. I kind of feel like that about Licorice. Like I don't know. I felt like Licorice was really
Exactly.
good all of a sudden, and then next thing you know, he's like kind of like what? But anyways, let's go then. Like because I think those are kind of the top 4-ish teams, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the sad thing, and maybe why we're a little bit bored because. Then you got the middle teams, which we'll talk about now, which is Dignitas and EG, right? Because I don't think I see them getting into that top 4 spot. They're kind of middle of the pack and they've kind of played middle of the pack. Like, you know, Dignitas had that nice run in the spring split where we're like, yeah, Cinderella story, all NA, you know, players. But, you know, are you still hype on that? I mean, they kind of went even. And then EG too, who I thought, you know, maybe would be slightly better this time, this split. But Jizuke has just kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know. He has had his moments, but for the most part, to me, it just seems like he is a risk I wouldn't want to have on my team. And he feels like Hooney to me. I mean, Hooney's better now, but for a long time, Hooney was like that player, right? Making
Yeah.
those plays, but it just wasn't happening, right? And teams were still banking on that could be him, though. He could pull off these plays. I feel like people are doing that with Jizuke. I'm like, no, he won't. He can't. If he keeps playing like this, like I just think he hurts that team so much.
We've all seen
And
the Lucian play.
it's very inconsistent.
God.
You know, I can't predict them because it's all dependent on will Jizuke int or, you know, will he not? So what are your thoughts on these two teams, Dignitas and EG?
I do think EG is just like that team that's gonna have just really really good players. Like especially Impact looks pretty
Mm-hmm.
good right now,
Yeah.
and but yeah, Jizuke is just really disappointing.
Right?
There's this funny clip. I don't know if it was a YouTube video or one of his co-streams or something, but there's this sound bit of Doublelift saying like like it was either before he retired or as he was retiring, he got offered EG a butt ton of money to join this team, and they basically their pitch was like, yeah, we're trying to build a team around Jizuke. We believe in Jizuke, and Doublelift was like, yeah, you couldn't give me $1 million like in the world. Like, you couldn't
Oh,
give me like all the money in the freaking world. I'm not
smart.
playing with Jizuke.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah,
Smart
it's on
move,
one of
though.
his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, that's so sad, man. That's so EG is just like so caught up in this Jizuke magic that, you know, it was his rise, right? And all of his back doors in his very
Yeah.
first split in LCS just caught everybody by storm. And now he's just been running it for over a year straight.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
he's not worth it. I absolutely do not think he's worth it. I do think he could be like a Hooney-esque where he needs to find the right environment, the right motivation, the right time in his life to play well, and maybe he could just stop going for these really dumb, unnecessary coin flip plays and just
Hmm.
play consistently because he's got good mechanics, and when he has his brain on, he has good baseline game knowledge. It's just like 3 or 4 times in a game, he just loses his mind and just turns it off and does something really, really like what face.
Yeah.
So I think Dignitas is a much more consistent team, and I have more faith in just like their overall like they're just they're more predictable, right? I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they are a middle of back team, and I would more predictably rely on them to beat the lower tier teams. Where EG could one day randomly beat the best team and then
Yeah.
lose all their games to the worst team.
Yes. Yep.
Like go 1-2 where Dignitas would go 2-1, right? They beat the bad teams, lose against the best teams. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know who's gonna have a better record? It's just Dignitas. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think EG is the wrong environment for a lot of players. I think that it's an EG problem, not as much as I mean, Jizuki always was volatile, even on his vitality days, which probably made him the most famous. I was listening to Yamato Cannon talk on some talk show, maybe it was Crackdown or something, I don't know, and he was just discussing like why they were just misusing Jizuki all the time, and I kind of buy into it somewhat. I still think he's not a very intelligent player, and that's his biggest. Like he
Yeah.
just never like
Mm-hmm.
he's got upside, sure, but he needs the team to do it for him.
Yep.
He's not the kind of veteran who can actually carry his own weight when he's not in a comfort zone.
I
And that's
agree.
an issue, both EG's issue and his issue, and that they're just a terrible match for each other. Like you see Impact, like he's got a dumpster fire like every other game, and he's still like just like solo carrying sometimes. But you see like the lack of coaching on the team in the sense that like Lost will push top lane, and no one will back.
Yeah.
None of those veteran players, like superstar players in other teams, has the brain cells to be like, hey, we should probably back now. Like he's just pushed like 4 turrets solo and an inhib
Yeah.
unanswered. It's
Oh,
actually
God.
absurdly. It's just painful. It's funny, but like in a not happy
It's
kind
funny,
of way.
but not in a happy way.
Why
Yeah,
is this in our
I will say-
region?
Yeah, I mean, I still enjoy watching it. I watch all the regions for the most part, except for LCK these days, and and it's fine. And it's
Yeah.
fine to watch. It's just we just don't have. If you keep your expectations moderate, it's.
I don't know, man. I've been watching a lot of. I told you guys I was going to start watching LPL more than LCK.
Oh man, the podcast is in trouble. We might
Bro,
be switching.
we might be switching. NA is like, and like Kevin says that it's fine, but I don't know, man. I think like there is a huge difference when I'm watching other region games compared to NA. But that's just that's a whole nother like thing in itself. But I just wanted to throw that in there, because I see something different.
It just hits different, man. Like there's
Yeah.
some mechanic, like that's cool. Oh, he into
Every time I see it, I'm just like, woo, okay, I see something new. That's cool. But
I will say Dig is still middle of the pack. I think that this time around the difference is that they don't have that. I think that enough of them is figured out that I don't think they're going to break the top 3-4 that we were like, hey, they're like second place in
Yeah.
standings. They're definitely going to do it. They might end up in like fourth just because they have the spring split like buffer.
Mhm.
But I think that team just it's good. It's good enough, and it will beat a slumping top tier team in playoffs if it gets to like a TSM classic TSM loses to the 5th place team or whatever. 3-1 like that's happened too much in the past without Doublelift on the team, and
Yeah.
they, spoiler, don't have Doublelift on the team, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dig's middle of the pack, but I'm not sure about that in playoffs. I mean, we saw what happened last time.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
God.
EG, I don't know, man. Just I wouldn't want to be on team with Jizuke either. I mean, he strikes me as the kind of guy who like he'll die to something and then he'll say, "Oh, if I just ulted this way or flashed this
Yeah.
way and dodged
Oh my
this,"
God,
instead
yes.
of saying, "Oh, I just shouldn't have been there."
I could have outplayed that, man. I could if I
And then
just
he
did.
just dies to it, and then he just dies to it 12 times. He dies the exact same play. It's like
Yeah.
it was like watching Niles in that Gnar game where he just died 6 times under the same tower in the same game. It's like, or Alfari in the finals, just dying to the same gank every game. Like
Yeah.
it was an issue that like you can't. It's almost impossible to fix that because in their mind, they're not, or in Jizuke's mind, he's not doing anything wrong. Fundamentally, he's just misplaying.
And that's the thing.
And-
He's misplaying. He's not reading. I think he misreads situations. I think he always looks for picks at the wrong times. Like I feel like he's just off. Like
Exactly. I mean, go back to the TLEG game.
yeah.
I talked about tactical inting the game to Aatrox. Jizuke did the exact same thing going in 1v4 on Akali and before what was it, Soul, I think? And they lose the fight and almost lost the game off of it.
Yeah.
Like it was I don't know.
In
I just
tactical stuff, that's he actually, he can win games for his team a lot more often. He's relatively speaking much more.
No, I'm not
consistent
arguing that.
than
I'm just
losers.
saying like tactical inted the game away, but so did Jizuke.
Mhm.
I'm just talking this specific game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I something I've noticed, especially with like, I don't want to bash Faker, but something I've noticed in sort of the downturn of his career is
Yeah.
he'll make these plays where it's definitely like he thought he was gonna outplay and be better than he actually was.
Yes.
When in reality, the real right calls are just not go for it or not do it
Yes.
or not be there. And like you go back to season 3, you look at some of those plays like, wow, Faker's amazing, and it's like. But if you really think about it from a season 11 sort of standpoint, he just shouldn't have been there, and he just like landed skill shots and dodged their skill shots, and he outplayed them, and it looks amazing. But he can't get away with these things. Jizuke, he was smurfing in his very first split, and he was getting away with a lot of stuff probably that he shouldn't have, and now it's just like he's not playing as well as he was, and other people have gotten better, and it's like this sort of like getting closer and. Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, we'll call that the Jizuke factor. Okay, he has his own factor, his own name now. All right, let's talk about the bottom of the pack. Not spend too much time here, but real quickly, Golden Guardians looks a little better with solo. Immortals look pretty good to me compared to what I saw. They're pretty all right. Flyquest actually look worse than I thought, and CLG, which I thought would be better, has come out 1-5. Like they look terrible. Like honestly,
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. The game they almost beat, what was it, Cloud9? It broke like Brox's heart, and he was just like, you could see he was defeated. I think that team's done. I don't know if that org is even
man.
like, I don't even know what's going on, but I feel bad for that whole team right now. They're just in a crappy situation. Any thoughts on this lower or this bottom part of the LCS?
Dude, Licorice sucks, man. I don't know. That
Yeah.
guy's so bad. That's not true. He's not. It's just like he's one of our NA pride talents, and considered the best top laner in LCS literally like a year ago. At
Yeah.
least top two, right? Like top two, top three for a lot of his career, and now he's actually looks so bad. All of spring he looked terrible, and some of these games I'm seeing like on the Gnar and the Lee Sin, I was just like, this is just disgustingly bad.
Hmm.
Um, he did have some standout wins and stuff against some lower teams, but like some of these performances are just I can't help but think like he really strived under else like under Cloud9 coaching, and under any other environment he just can't make it happen.
Yeah.
I think there were a lot of game plans and resources put into him back in C9, as well as the better coaching. So I think a lot of his development was like jump started, but he might not have the idea how to like raise himself up as a
Yeah.
result, because he has such a great environment to start out with, such a good support system. Relatively
That's
speaking.
true. Yeah.
I'll say that he did all right. Like they're the games that they won, he looked great. The issue is the games that they lost, he looked like a huge liability. They went 3-3. They beat TSM and EG. Like honestly, not terrible. For me, I thought that was pretty good for Flyquest. The only things they lost to Golden Guardians, which is not a great note to end off your week on. And it looked like
Yeah.
they both belonged in that tier with each other when they were playing that game. So that was a big issue. But they went 3-3. Like that's actually pretty decent considering they beat two top 5, top 6 teams, depending on how you think EG is right now. So I think this Flyquest is looking great. CLG, I think Broxa put out a statement, like there's some headline out there with Travis Scott for an interview that's like, not gonna lie, I'm like devastated right now or something like that. I'm like, dude.
I know, man. I feel
Poor
bad for the
Broxa.
guy.
I
He's so
Broxa
nice.
was actually smurfing in the Lee Sin
Yeah,
game he played.
he was.
He had like literally a solo win game. It felt like every move he made in the game against, I mean, I think it's against like CLG, but again, he just looked so much better. And I was, or not CLG, against
Cloud9?
team they beat, GG.
Was
Oh,
it
GG, yeah.
Guardians?
Yeah, he just looked so much better, and I was like, oh, nice.
Mhm.
Was it a Lee Sin game that game? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Golden Guardians, when they won, they had that comeback basically where CLG just aced Golden Guardians randomly at Baron, right? And then yeah, that was the Lee Sin game. He was pretty smart that game.
He was, and I was like, oh yeah, that's like what I remember from the Fnatic days. But the issue is like that team just looks like their soul has been ripped asunder. Like I don't know what's up with them. Golden Guardians, we mentioned briefly. Solo has definitely stabilized that team. They're now a solidly bottom team instead of a default 10th place team. Like they're like, they could be 8th, maybe. I don't know, but I mean,
They can make playoffs.
They could. They could make.
They could.
The record is not helping them, but CLG's at least securing, like, it's like the TFT meme. You're like, it's a top 7 for sure.
Yeah,
One guy really inting it down. So it's a top 9 for sure.
Yeah.
I think Immortals had a really impressive first week, obviously, and then they lost every game.
Yeah.
When
Yep.
the opponent teams were not GG and CLG, so like. They beat 100 Thieves. They're the only 100 Thieves victory. So, like, that's why we had a lot of hype going in for Mortals. They're probably still, like, a decent enough team. There's enough firepower there. Xerxes woke up this split. Like, he's even in the losses, he looked pretty good. So this might, quote-unquote, be his meta. But for the rest of the team, it's like, it kind of depends. Like, in my mind, it's like, if Destiny and Raze, like, just pop up like they did week 1, yeah, they'll win. But otherwise, there's not as much like X factor going on in this team so far. I don't think Insanity had the greatest second week. That second week just like hurt their stock so much. It was like sell, sell, sell.
Yep.
I mean, IMT, I think they're a solid 7th place team. I don't think you can put them any lower, and I don't think you put them any higher. Maybe 6th, but I mean, I still think Dig is better than them, and EG is still better than them. I mean, FlyQuest CLG, I mean, I had high hopes for both of these teams coming in. I was hoping that, they might actually make a push for top 3. And it's really unfortunate. Licorice he's a shell of his former self. I think Palafox and Jose Diodo are
Yep.
really good, and I think they're being held back by the rest of the team. Johnson, same issue. It's like he just doesn't look like he did last split.
Another NA
I mean,
talent too. It sucks.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. Flyquest has support issues,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which is, I mean, they are rookies and all, but I mean, it still doesn't look very good. Uh, CLG, I think they need to sell their spot
Yeah,
in LCS. Like
they're in a bad spot, man.
they had a good legacy going, and now it's like, yeah, we pay a bunch of big names, and we just don't have infrastructure for them. Like
Yeah,
you look at the names there. I mean, with the exception of Finn, like these are all players that historically have been good. I guess Smoothie was only really good in C9 as well, but
I mean, Finn was third place, and he was one of the worst top laners in the league, but he definitely like he made it to Worlds and stuff. Like all these players have made it to
yeah, I know.
Worlds.
I think
Yeah.
Finn was one of the most head scratching imports
Yeah.
NA's had, in my opinion, because like he was pretty clearly the worst player on a team that did almost just as bad as TSM at Worlds.
Yeah.
I just I don't see why they would import Finn out of anyone. That's just me.
I think a lot
Um,
of people were confused by that one.
Yeah. Still
yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
I
gonna
mean,
change.
Golden Guardians maybe they'll get eighth.
yeah.
I
Okay.
think every spot's kind of finalized. The positioning is kind of like we know who the top 7 is pretty clearly, and there's just
Yeah.
kind of like
That's kind
a
of
bit
what
of a Rochambeau going on in the bottom
that's
3.
kind of what makes this a little bit boring, I guess. Just because
Yeah.
we it's a little predictable.
We
Well,
need a Schalke. We need like
yes,
one of these bottom teams to actually just like flip a switch, figure something out, have an
yeah,
epiphany, or have a crazy roster swap, and actually just click and just start running with
just
things, right?
go. Yeah,
That'll just jumpstart like the excitement in the league. Because I don't think we're the only people sharing the sentiment. I think a lot of fans, a lot of personalities are also sharing similar sentiments where it feels like, you know, it's very predictable. And the predict like not only is it predictable, when we do get the exciting games, we can't help but be a little disappointed, right?
yeah,
And that's where we're at right now.
yeah. I think
I
that's
mean, when we get the exciting games, it's usually like IMT versus FlyQuest. Those are the fun games to watch because they're so back and forth. A
yeah,
Yeah.
lot of the like a lot of the like games where you get it's like, oh, this will be really good. It's usually just one team snowballs really hard. Like Liquid
Because it
just gets really fed and then they beat Cloud9. It's like, oh well, I mean, wasn't much of a game.
and it's like it's not because both teams are like bad or one team is way better than the other. It's just like that one team is just so good at snowballing that like sometimes
Exactly.
you just make too many mistakes in the other game and it's impossible because that team is just so good at it.
yep.
So yeah, I agree.
Okay. Well, let's briefly before we get into predictions, just real quickly, we got to talk about the prediction. I mean, excuse me, the meta because
Yeah.
the meta has slightly changed. So talk about what you like, don't like seeing. I'll start off and just say that I like Xin Zhao, seeing Xin Zhao in the jungle. I also like that I feel like mid has kind of found its place, I guess, in this meta where we're seeing either like a Xin Zhao jungle with like a support mid, like Karma or something, or sometimes we'll see a Kali like coming back, right? This assassin. So those are my kind of favorite things watching. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there anything else that you guys like, or do you like the same things? What do you guys see?
I as the I'm just gonna say what I say almost every week. I hate Udyr. Get him
Oh my
out of the
god,
meta,
yeah,
bro.
he's still
Gut
there.
that champion.
He's
It's
still
so
there.
boring to watch.
Yeah,
He is the most uninteractive, stupid
he's
champion.
still there.
I hate that you have to play him because he's just like once you figure out how to play him, you realize this champ is just busted. He's
Hmm.
just busted conceptually too. If his numbers are there and he gets ahead, he's just busted. Um, Also. And I think that not a lot of people are going to completely agree with this sentiment because it's, he's a new champion, right? But Xin Zhao, I think, is almost the same exact thing as Udyr, just slightly different. It's instead of him being so stupidly good at like the clearing and the tankiness, he's just too broken at dueling. It's
Hmm.
like if Xin Zhao's numbers are good enough and he's in a place in the meta where he's strong, it's like you just can't exist against a Xin Zhao unless you can duel him. If
Hmm.
you're ever in E range, the guy just wins. you just lose.
Yeah.
Like it's same thing with Udyr, right? But it's like the range is a bit closer. But Udyr has other things where he clears faster and he gets tankier and he has repeat stuns. But turns out you just get one shot from like if you get hit by a W, you just die, and you have to burn flash, and he flashes after you. He's got Halo Blades, and it's just like this champ does too much damage when he's strong, and it really warps the jungle meta when a champion like him is good because it's like you can't play non-early game comp like champions against him because
Mhm.
he'll just run over the early game.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my rant on the jungle.
I mean, I'll say as a jungle main against Shinzao, at least the only solace you have is if he does nothing, he farms way slower than Udyr does. Udyr
Yeah.
literally was just power farming, ganking, doing everything you want him to do. Like, yeah, he didn't have the best late game, but neither does Shin necessarily. Like, if you're
Mhm.
only even or behind, and you're going to be down 20 CS if you haven't done much, there's always like at least an impetus on Sinjao to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have an issue with his like non-interactability with his ult, and like it's cool once or twice, and then you get annoyed. Both
Yes.
him and Gwen in the same meta,
Uh-huh.
it just pisses me off. Like the circles of you can't interact. I'm like, eventually we're gonna have a team of 5 characters where like they can push buttons, and you're just gonna sit there and be like, huh, Samira, Gwen, Shinzao. Like, I
Shinzao
mean,
Braum.
Yeah.
yeah, I need
And
like an
then
EMP shockwave or something. Shinzao Braum, yeah, like,
Senna, Akali, right? They're not this
like
totally
a lot of
exact
dumb
same.
stuff, dude. Like,
Yeah, but
there's
it's
no
just
worse
stupid.
feeling than in League of Legends than like you are ready to do something, you're ready to click, and
You
literally
can't.
nothing happens. You just
Yeah.
click
Yeah.
over, you move command, and you're like, I guess I'll
Yeah.
wait
Yeah.
until I die.
Yeah.
I think the meta is quote unquote better. Like we've seen some interesting stuff for the most part. There's more picks. At least that's my impression of it. It's weird to me that the most banned character that I can see was Renekton.
Yep.
Um, I'm surprised by that. I would have thought it was Gwen. But she was actually let through quite a bit. She was the most played top laner, tied with Lee Sin, I think. And I think she's disgusting. I have no idea what people are thinking of when they let her through and don't have a
Mhm.
game plan for her. Like
Oh
there was
yeah.
one game where Liquid let it through. Jacob's got like a 40 CS lead on GP. I'm like, all right, there was a plan, good. But most of the time, it's just like, what are you guys doing? Like this character's disgusting.
Mhm.
It's
Delete
like
Gwen.
when
Yeah.
Fudge or somebody outplayed like 1v3, I'm like, that wasn't an outplay. He just sat there and walked over them. Like the collie was broken as hell, couldn't do any damage to Gwen, who
Mhm.
wasn't even that hyper fed. She was like 303, which is like good, but not 1v3, no help, solo kill all 3 of them. Like that's just dumb.
True damage. Lol.
Yeah,
It's like Aurelia with
she
true
should be a
damage.
true damage skin for the
Mhm.
Yeah.
next true damage line. Jesus, it's
Yeah.
so dumb.
Gwen, completely disgusting. I mean, I think that's just bruisers in general right now. I mean, that's kind of been the way how it is for a while, in my opinion. But I actually don't really like the mid meta. Go back to what you were saying, League Dad.
Okay.
Just because I feel like all mid lane is right now is it's literally just a sanctuary for flex picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
right.
all it is.
Yeah.
Like there is no mid meta. It's like, hey, can this be played in multiple roles? All right, it's played mid now.
Yep.
Gwen,
Yeah.
Renekton, Viego,
Lucian.
Galio,
Lee Sin.
Lee
Yep.
Sin. Like it's just
Mhm.
not interesting. Like a lot of the like I feel like drafts aren't even as interesting. It's like there aren't mid lane power picks. There's
That's
power
true.
picks in other roles that can be played mid.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, I
I don't know.
wonder if Akali will be that pick because we've been seeing it a lot.
But Akali's flex top.
That's
Yeah.
true. She's also
Plus
flex.
she's a good matchup into
Yeah.
Gwen.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
Just like
Akali's. But to be fair, Akali's best role is mid lane, though. It
Mhm.
is her
no,
best
no,
lane.
for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that can definitely be seen as a power pick mid lane that you flex to top, like in that sort of sense. But I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
Just to not be so down, you know, maybe
It's so
be like,
sad.
this is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I think that we are finally seeing more than 2 champions in the bot lane, I guess, are we? It's like we got Ezreal and Varus. Varus is really high prio, right?
Mhm.
Banned a lot. But then we have Ezreal. We're seeing some Kog'Maw, Lulu. We are seeing
Yep.
Tristana. We're seeing Senna, right? We're seeing some Jinx. So there is like more than just 2 ADCs playing bot lane, which I
It's
do
true.
think is cool. We see some occasional enchanters, and then we just see a ton of Leona. I'm getting a little bit bored of Leona, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. The champion's
I
really
mean, the
broken.
champion's been broken for
A long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a long
I
time.
mean, don't get used to Ezreal. Probably
Mhm. Yeah,
Sunder's getting nerfed. I wouldn't get used to that. I know it's
Yeah.
a couple weeks down the road, but
yeah.
same thing with Senna. Actually, I'm not sure if they're building Sunder and
Sometimes they do. I don't know about
Yeah.
LCS, but I've seen it sometimes on
I've
Senna.
been building Sunder in my games, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've been saying it for a while. I think bot lane, like 80 carry, you can kind of pick most champions and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, looking into the future, Aphelios buffs.
Yeah. I'm
I
Yeah.
mean,
excited.
everyone likes watching Aphelios. If you say you
Wait.
don't, you're lying.
Wait a minute.
I
Hey,
don't care how much you hate the champion, it's entertaining to watch. Especially with like how good 80 carries are. I
I
mean,
can't wait
in
for
NA.
200 years. 200 years meta, baby. Let's do it.
They're not gonna buff his ultimate. I would highly
Yeah.
doubt they actually buff his ultimate enough for it to be strong. It's been so bad for so long, and the
Yeah.
champion has so many issues. But crossing my fingers, hopefully he'll be good.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's good. I mean, it is nice to see some new things happening. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But now it's time for predictions. Now, this is why I'm a little upset too. Honestly, this whole rant about should spring split matter, etc., is because really it's just messing with my predictions because these teams that are supposed to win are throwing games to these lower seed teams because it's they got some cushion. It doesn't matter, and so it's really messing me up. So we'll try our best with predictions coming up. Again, if you guys want to compete for that big RP prize at the end of the season or end of the split, then feel free to join the Discord. Check out the forums that we'll be posting and you can join in. But let's start with Friday's games. First up, we have C9 versus EG. I'm going to just go ahead and say C9 for me. Is there anybody going for EG?
I don't care how hard Jizuke can coin flip. Even
Yes.
if Jizuke and EG they like go 30-0 in perfect game C9, I'm still gonna go the very next day and predict C9. So
Yes.
it's C9. Yeah.
C9.
I'm on the same boat. Like he can flip, yes, and I'm like, good for you, and I'm just gonna move on with my life.
Yeah.
EG's at that point for me where I'm like, man, I keep on like believing in them, and then they just lose the games they should, and I hate it.
Yes.
So C9 should win.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still in the same boat as last split. I just can't comfortably vote EG against any team that's higher than them on the standings.
Yep.
It's, I don't know.
Watch. That'll be the game that they upset us with. So
Yep. That will be.
Probably
that will
if-
be
And
the
then
game.
We'll still predict against them.
Yep. And then they're gonna lose to CLG because they played them the next day.
lose.
Okay.
Exactly.
The next game is Flyquest Team Liquid. Anybody going for Flyquest?
I actually think Flyquest has a much better chance than I would normally give them. I don't
Okay.
want to give it to them though because I really dislike Licorice right now, and
Yeah.
I've actually been pretty underwhelmed with their bot lane. Yeah, I'm gonna go Team Liquid still,
Okay.
but it's a much closer than it should be for Team Liquid. They're slumping for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's much closer than it should be. I'll always go Liquid unless it's like egregious. And yeah, I think Liquid should still win.
Ninth place Liquid, Omega lol.
Yikes.
Hey, I stuck with them. They're thick and thin. That's how fans
Yeah.
should be.
That's true. All right. Alistair?
I'm same boat.
Team Liquid. Okay. Immortals
It's
versus
closer,
TS.
but-
Immortals versus TSM. I mean, obviously I'm TSM. Obviously, come on. Obviously, guys. Anybody going to Immortals
Yeah.
here?
Did you see him last week?
Yeah, I know. I did
Yeah,
see
I
them.
mean,
I'm scared. I'm
They
actually
lost to
scared.
Flyquest in
I
their
know.
current form.
Did you see Immortals last week though? Ugh,
Yeah,
Same thing. We
Yeah.
both sucked.
I know. I actually
Um,
don't know, but I'm going TSM.
I'm not confident in this one. I am also going to go TSM. I mean,
It's a
I have a
shaky
feeling-
TSM.
it's like they did well, and then they did bad.
Uh huh.
They're probably gonna do well, right? You
Yeah.
flip it back and
Just
forth.
play it back and
TSM
forth.
thing you do.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
mean, I'm
logic
just gonna
behind
correct
it.
you, League Dad.
Yeah.
It's not a shaky TSM, it's just shaky region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still going TSM though.
Okay. TSM. Kev.
Yeah, I'll go TSM.
All
I'm
right.
not comfortable. There's a lot of things I'm not comfortable with this, but geez. I mean,
I know.
in a way that should be more exciting, but just the way that I'm not comfortable is kind of painful at times.
We're not comfortable because the bad teams could be better. We're comfortable or uncomfortable because the good teams could be worse than we want them to be. Like that's the sad thing, right?
Mhm.
Like you go to other regions and it's like, well, this bad team actually did some really cool, crazy stuff last week, and maybe they could actually take down the better
Yeah.
team. And because the better team is just like they're thinking they're just gonna beat them, they're gonna get overconfident. But no, it's actually the better team just
Yeah.
completely eats crap and just falls over and does some stupid stuff and loses.
Yep. Okay. Dignitas versus Golden Guardians.
Wow, this is an interesting one. I do think Golden Guardians is like as bad as they have lost some games, like they actually like kind of look solid for like a good chunk of the game. I mean, I'm just gonna go Dignitas, but I want to give Golden Guardians some credit.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going Dig too. I mean, I don't know, man. Golden Guardians, just not feeling it, man. Even with solo, I still think Dignitas is better.
That's still better. I mean, that whole like solid middle of the pack means that they're also kind of a kryptonite for like teams that just
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough firepower to consistently win. Like Golden Guardians win sometimes just because the other teams lost their minds, and Dig doesn't do that as often
Yeah.
as the other lower middle teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Alistair,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
going?
Yeah, no, I'm Dig.
Okay.
I've basically just been agreeing with everything Mitchell
I
said. During
so far
predictions.
everything. All of us have had the same.
I was gonna
votes.
say the exact same thing pretty much every time.
Verbatim. Okay.
You know.
Hey.
All right, here we go. Let's go 100 Thieves CLG. I'm going to say 100 Thieves, and let's start with Alistair. So that way so that he starts, and we'll see if you guys think the same
I mean,
thing.
you let me go first. Probably the most one-sided on paper.
What are you talking about, man? CLG was supposed to be good, man.
Yeah, they were supposed to be. They're clearly not.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're not. Okay.
this shouldn't be a contest or
All
much of a
right.
contest, honestly.
Yeah,
Okay.
CLG's
Drop
gonna
that pet
destroy
project
them.
real
Yeah.
quick, man.
I know. Poor CLG, man. I think at this point they're just so crushed. Like, what's the point? What's the point if they win? Who cares? Like, they won't even care if they win. They'll be like, okay, big deal.
Yeah, Hotshot doesn't care. He's not there anymore.
He doesn't
care.
care. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I can't vote for
100
CLG,
Thieves.
especially
Go
not
on.
in
This is
the-
Next.
boring. Come on,
Yeah,
next one.
let's move on.
All right, let's go through these quickly because
Well,
there's only
small
one
town.
good match I see here. I think,
Yeah,
but the next one is C9 Immortals. Anybody going?
C9.
Okay, nobody's going Immortals, right?
No.
Yeah, I don't
Sorry,
think
Immortals.
You know what? We're picking the same thing every time. I'm going Immortals.
so.
He's going
And once again,
Immortals.
at the end of this way, you're gonna like.
Are you going Immortals?
By 2 points.
All right.
Yes, I'm going Immortals. I'm not.
Okay.
We're not going 15 games straight where we all pick the same.
No, there
thing.
will be a
Control on
difference.
ourselves.
I'm telling you, we're
Yeah.
gonna get to a different difference of
14.
Oh
opinion.
boy,
opinion.
14 are the same. 13 are
I'm
the
just
same.
saying,
I'm
you
picking
gotta vote for
Immortals.
who you
Put that
think
This
down.
is
win.
this is the hard part about NA because I think they're just falling in. So all right, CLG versus EG. I got
Let's
EG.
screw it. I'm going
CLG.
CLG. I'm
Okay,
going, let's
there
do
we
it.
go.
Let's do it. Come
Let's
on,
go, Mitchell.
CLG.
Let's
Please.
just any percent these predictions.
Kevin,
Yeah,
I mean, it's EG.
okay.
yeah.
It's EG. It's EG.
EG is gonna be likely to lose just because they're EG, but that's EG because
I think we know who's not winning predictions, guys.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, TSM versus Dignitas. I think this is actually going to be a good match. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm going for TSM, but I think it'll be interesting.
Didn't Dignitas 2-0 them in the regular split last
Most
week?
likely. I feel like they lost every game
Yeah.
against Dignitas. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
TSM
think
beat
they did.
lost.
by TSM in playoffs, right? And then they. Or was
Oh
it
yeah,
someone
3
else?
by 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
My
Dig
bad.
got 3-0 by 100 Thieves. They never
Mhm.
played against TSM in playoffs. And TSM 3-1 100 Thieves or 3-0. So
Yeah.
once playoffs hit, obviously TSM was better. I think this is interesting because of how inconsistent TSM is, and I think very consistent Dignitas is. TSM can definitely float above and below Dignitas's level, and Dignitas will be at that level and will punish you if you fall below.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with, oh, man, I want to go Dignitas. I'm just gonna go Dignitas.
All right.
I actually think TSM is probably has a slightly higher chance of winning, but I'm just playing the odds and saying, even though it's 60-40, I think Dignitas is gonna come up in that 40.
That's fair.
I'm doing that thing I do in Twitch where I'm like, well, the channel points are all on this side, so I'm going the other side. I'm going big. I'm also going Dignitas. I think,
Okay.
yeah, statistically, TSM probably odds-on favorites TSM by a bit, but
Yep.
I think Dig is at least a little better right now as of
Yeah.
last week.
Let's go.
Okay. Alistair,
No.
are you
I'm last.
yeah, are you on
Yeah.
board with these dummies over here?
Honestly, I think I'm gonna go with TSM.
There we go.
Oh, boo.
Smart.
Oh,
Wait, what?
you got me.
Why are you gonna do that, man? Oh,
Yes,
I-
Simple Mega Lol.
I missed that. God dang it. Why did I fall for that?
I fell for it too, man. It's okay.
That was a good one. All right.
It's been a while.
Moving on.
TSM will probably win. I just wanted to go with
Moving
it.
on. That's going to be my difference maker right there. Moving on. 100
Yeah.
Thieves versus Flyquest. 100
100
Thieves.
Thieves.
I'm going 100 Thieves.
Alright.
Don't. This used to be a close thing when Flyquest was good, and then
Yeah.
no.
All right. Golden Guardians versus Team Liquid. I think that's Team Liquid, right?
Yeah, just give me Liquid. I mean,
All
Golden
right.
Guardians, they can maybe make it close, like super randomly out of nowhere. They'll make it close. But then,
Okay.
no. Team Liquid.
CLG
I
versus
mean-
Dignitas.
Dig.
I'm going Dig. Yep. Dig is too
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah, if you vote for Dig over TSM, you can't humanly vote for Dig under CLG,
Yeah.
right? Right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that how it works?
You know, man. This is NA. We don't know. Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
100 Thieves.
This is the game. This
Yeah.
is the game of the week.
I'm going 100 Thieves.
I'm going 100 Thieves as well. But
Well, I'm going Team Liquid. I don't know what y'all are smoking.
yeah. It's
Too
Alfari's
bad
It's
confirmed
still
up there.
Jenkins, right? Yeah, it's still Jenkins,
Yeah,
right?
it's still Jenkins, but I mean,
Nah, this is Dignitas. I mean, this is 100 Thieves.
This is Dignitas. Let's
Dignitas.
go.
This is-
McDonald's
let's go
Dignitas.
I just stand by my boys.
All right,
Even
honey.
if they bring me down during predictions.
I
That's
don't know.
fine.
TL's only win against a team that I consider to be decent is Dig. They've lost to every other team that's supposed to be good or somewhat good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they've lost to TSM, they've lost to EG, who I don't even think's that good. Like
I mean, that game
I
was
just
crazy close, but yes, you
Yeah.
are correct. They did lose.
yeah,
Okay.
but it's still just the same issue. Like they've lost to like the good, quote unquote, good teams.
I think we've seen in the past this matchup where 100 Thieves has a really good, decent early game, and then they fall apart later on. And it's usually because Jensen is able to basically AFK, feels no pressure at all to do anything, and he will kind of show up on an Oriana or like a Victor or something in the mid game. I think Abadage is going to mid diff the crap out of Jensen. Like, I do think Jensen is still quite good, but it's just he hasn't been that Jensen. You know, remember when he was on C9 or his very early Team Liquid days on Jensen, where you're just like, that's Jensen. Like he's
Yeah.
kind of just smurfs on people who are better, who are worse than him. I haven't felt like that for a while with him, and I think
The gap is
Abadage.
closed.
Yeah, the gap is definitely closed between Jensen, best NA mid to other NA mids, and you got Abadage. Abadage is just in his prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I think he's the best performing mid laner right now. If I had to rank him today in these last 2 weeks, I'd rank him above Perks and Jensen for sure, and PoE. So
Okay. All
I think
right.
it's be a fat mid diff. 100 Thieves.
All right. What about TSM versus C9?
This is an interesting one.
Because this is a good. I think these are going to be. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I thought
going.
about this. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going TSM on the fact that I think Lost. Come on, Lost. Show.
Come on, Lost.
Show King what's up.
Are you?
I don't
found?
think Lost is going to get another free win by pushing top lane. No one recalls, but
What do you guys think? I mean, I'm not like 100%. I'm not confident in this vote, but
Yeah, this
I'm
is a
going
tough
you're a
TSM.
TSM fan. You're never confident in a TSM.
You
vote.
are absolutely right, my friend.
Like,
You are not wrong.
This is such a tough one, actually.
I'm also going TS. Or no, sorry. I'm also going C9.
Ooh.
I'm going C9.
Okay.
I voted TSM. I don't have TSM super high up. I mean, they had a great week one, but they seem to just do this up and down thing, and I'm trying to predict if they go down 2 weeks in a row.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'll go C9.
Okay.
I think both of these teams tend to show up when this matchup happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it will be a good game, a close game, a back and forth game. I think one team does have the chance to snowball, but you're definitely going to see the other team bide their time and find that one angle to try and make it. And we'll see if they blow back into the game or not, or they get shut down. I think it's going to be TSM. I think TSM is going to come up with a really, really strong game plan. I think that Perks and C9, they will come in confident, and I don't think they're going to be able to do anything too tricky because they've been doing a lot of tricky stuff early on. And like
Mm-hmm.
TSM is definitely going to show up for this game. I'm going to go TSM. I think they're gonna show up for the game, and they're gonna come up with a really strong game plan. And they're gonna put all like this is I feel like a lot of teams do, especially TSM. They put all their eggs in one basket. Let's beat this.
Yeah.
Let's get this really clean game, and then they fall asleep and they just lose to like CLG or Golden Guardians, something random, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like it happens all the time.
I feel the same way. Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
gonna come with it for this match.
Yeah.
The other matches, not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Let's go TSM.
maybe
You
I should.
suck, but
Maybe
you
I.
win this game.
Maybe I should have voted Dignitas instead of TSM. Oh well, that doesn't matter. All right, Immortals and Flyquest. I think I'm gonna go Immortals. Honestly, I'm not too big on Flyquest right now.
I'm not too big on either of them, to be fair. So I'm gonna go Flyquest.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I think Licorice is just having weird confidence issues, and if he's against a bad top laner, I mean, Revenge isn't bad, but he's definitely not on the better top laner. I think Licorice might show up. Just don't put him on Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Just put him on Scion. I don't know. I go IMT.
Okay. And then your Flyquest, right, Kevin? Okay. Final
All right, we're
game.
split. Let's go.
Final game is EG versus Golden Guardians. I gotta go EG because Golden Guardians is.
I'm not
poo-poo.
confident voting either team, honestly.
Neither am I.
Awful. Why would you ask someone to ever vote on?
I'm just
this
playing the
game?
odds.
I picked
my
neither wins.
Just playing the odds.
Can I pick the viewer loses? How about that? Is that an option?
I think we're gonna try to. I think we're gonna try to record on Sunday next episode. So we could possibly just skip that last game and just record.
Can I-
record during
We're
it?
just
Can I-
do the
can I just pick
podcast as the
Kazuke's
game goes
bank account?
on.
What's that, Alistair?
Can I just pick Jizuke's bank account? Like,
That's the
I know,
winner,
right? That's the
yes.
winner.
I don't know, man. Like, he's either gonna get paid more because he wins this game, or he's gonna get paid
Ugh.
by the other team to int it away.
Oh
Like,
God.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go. Golden
There's a
Guardians.
bidding war for how well he does in this. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go EG
Okay.
just because they've won more games overall, but
Okay.
I'm not confident or even close to confident.
I'm gonna go EG, but I don't want to.
Okay. I don't want to. So Mitchell's the
going
only one.
Guardians.
Golden Guardians. Okay. I like
Yep.
it. Spicy.
They're going to be like, you know what, guys? Jizuke sucks.
Yeah.
Let's just beat them. Let's
Yeah.
just beat them. We're not making it playoffs. We're gonna be 10th place, but let's beat EG and
Yeah.
let's make fun of Jizuke. Let's make some memes, guys. I
Heck
think they're
yeah.
just gonna try really hard. I mean, Solo's beaten Jizuke before on teams on Flyquest, right? So
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I think he can do it.
we'll see. If
Yeah,
we
I
have
think
to.
my teams is okay.
I mean, if we have to, that's a game we can skip. But we'll see. Or maybe I'll just watch the highlights because I don't know.
This game is gonna be our 50-minute banger of the weekend.
Oh yeah,
This
right.
game right here. It's gonna be the 50-minute banger, or it's gonna be a 20-minute stomp.
It's sad
And
that
then
I.
one of
we
the
all
two.
skipped it on accident.
It's
Oops.
sad that I. You could be right. Like it's sad that that's a possibility. Okay. Is there any last things you guys want to close with? It's been a pretty long episode, but we had a lot to catch up with. But good to be back. Any announcements or anything? I know we are gonna set that ARAM game up with the Excellent 3 guys. We're gonna destroy them for sure. So
Yeah, they're probably gonna lose.
yeah, they're definitely.
I'm gonna pick
lose.
something just so I can solo kill Morpheus as many times as possible.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick
Yes.
something stupid. Like it's
And
not
he's
even
gonna hear that, and he's gonna play Yumi. And I'm gonna blame him for that. So.
Wait, it's random though, right? So I don't think
It
we can
is
pick
random.
anything, right?
We
So
could
can't
keep
pick
rolling.
anything.
Yeah, okay.
We could
We'll
roll.
see.
Yeah,
We'll roll.
I think
We'll
it's gotta
see.
be random. I mean, because otherwise, if we pick stuff, like I feel like if like we get to pick stuff, it's like not really fair unless we
Yeah.
decide to meme, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pick Caitlyn. Like,
yeah. Like, what if you pick Caitlyn and I pick Ivern? You know, like I don't think we're gonna lose. You
Yeah.
know, like-
Bro,
Exactly.
I sat here and I raffle stomped the league he covers in his podcast. Obviously, I'm gonna clap the podcast. Like,
Oh yeah, you wanted fighting words? Those are fighting words right there.
LNC,
Alistair is
If we
ready.
lose, we're gonna
Semis,
look
bro.
like TSM last week.
I got nothing to lose because I am the lowest rank here, so it doesn't. I lose no dignity at all. Doesn't affect me. All right. Well,
fun.
I think that's gonna do it. Again, thank you to my co-hosts for always being here and sharing their wise insights. So Kevin, Mitchell, Alistair, much appreciated. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at questions@theallinpodcast.gg, or you could tweet us at theallinpodcast. But until next time, guys, enjoy your climb on the rift. Try not to be too toxic, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Peace.